What if I told you that a 4,000-year-old Egyptian beauty secret just gave me the healthiest, shiniest hair of my life? I mean, who knew that a little bit of honey, beeswax, and some ancient knowledge could be so revolutionary for my hair care routine? Ancient Egypt has always been this captivating, almost mystical place in my mind, full of giant pyramids, fascinating culture, and incredible beauty rituals. What intrigues me even more is learning about the Egyptian approach to hair care. Their all-natural remedies were enough to keep their hair looking incredible in one of the harshest climates on Earth. Today we're going to be learning about and using an ancient hair mask made with ingredients they swore by. And let me tell you, these results are well worth the time. Are you curious about how this experiment worked? Stick with me as we break down the Egyptian beauty secrets and the ingredients that made this mask so powerful, and how it transformed my hair from dull and dry to shiny, bouncy, and full of life. You're going to want to hear this. Ancient Egyptian hair care, beauty through the ages. When we think about ancient Egypt, we often picture queens and pharaohs and Cleopatra draped in gold, wearing these elaborate wigs and sporting perfectly styled black shiny hair. But the truth is, their hair care wasn't just about looking good on the surface. It was about health, identity, and even spirituality. So for the elite in Egypt, wigs were actually a big deal. Not only were they a status symbol, showing off wealth and power, but they were also practical. Wigs helped protect natural hair from the intense desert heat and dry hair, which could be seriously damaging. Even if you weren't a royal though, keeping your hair well groomed was still important. It was a sign of self-respect and just good hygiene. What's really interesting is how spiritual hair was in ancient Egypt. For example, priests and mourners would shave their heads as a sign of purity, devotion, and renewal. It's like their way of saying, I'm open to change, which when you think about it is a pretty cool way of honoring the cycles of life. And the Egyptians knew that hair care wasn't just about styling. It was about actually nourishing and protecting it too. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Cool history lesson, but literally, like, what's the point here? Well, the point is that these ingredients are the foundation of the very hair mask that I tried out, and let me tell you, the results were incredible. So in the next section, I'll dive into the magic of these ingredients and show you how you can use them today to get healthier, shinier hair too. Nature's pharmacy. When you think about ancient Egyptian beauty secrets, you might picture exotic oils and herbs that sound like something straight out of a natural wellness book. And you would be partly correct, but some of these ingredients are also just super basic pantry sort of staples, or at least basic things that you could find in a health food store here as well. The Egyptians had a deep understanding of the healing power of plants, oils, and other natural ingredients. So let's go ahead and break down some of the key ingredients that ancient Egyptians used for hair care as well as skincare, and why they're still so popular today. Castor oil. Castor oil is literally like the OG hair oil. Egyptians used it for centuries to nourish and strengthen their hair. This oil is packed with linoleic acid, which helps boost circulation to the scalp and really encourages healthy hair growth. It's also a fantastic moisturizer, making your hair soft and shiny. So no wonder it's still a staple in modern hair care. Honey. Honey was one of the Egyptians' favorite ingredients, and it's easy to see why. It's a natural humectant, meaning it draws moisture from the air into your hair and locks it in. And plus, it also has antibacterial and antifungal properties, making it great for scalp health. Honey can help soothe an irritated scalp while giving your hair a gorgeous and healthy glow. Beeswax. So you might not think of beeswax when you think of hair care, but it's actually amazing for creating a protective barrier around your hair. It helps seal in moisture, smooths the hair cuticle, and gives your hair a shiny and polished look. It's also just very nourishing and it helps to prevent damage from the elements, like the scorching Egyptian sun. Fenugreek. So fenugreek might sound a little more exotic, but it's a herb that's been around for ages and ages all around the world, and the Egyptians really knew how to use it. Fenugreek seeds are packed with proteins and nicotinic acid, not sure if I'm saying that right, which helps strengthen the hair, reduce dandruff, and promote growth. It's also been shown to boost scalp health, which is key for long, healthy hair. So I actually use fenugreek in my own herbal hair growth oil, and if you haven't tried it, you definitely should, and there's more information about that below. Henna. Henna is another ingredient that's been loved by many cultures for thousands of years, including the Egyptians. Not only can henna be used for adding a natural reddish tint to the hair when used in certain recipes, so don't worry, it won't do this in this particular recipe because it's oil-based, but henna can also strengthen the hair and improve its texture. Henna can balance your scalp's pH and help keep everything calm on the scalp, reducing issues like dryness or dandruff or even fungal issues. So the beauty of all of these ingredients in Egyptian hair care is that they can work together in harmony to care for your hair and scalp. Together they create a powerhouse of nourishment that leaves your hair feeling healthy, strong, and shiny. The Egyptians really did have it figured out. They didn't need fancy shampoos or conditioners or styling products, just products from nature that stood the test of time. In my research on ancient Egyptian hair care, I was actually quite surprised to find that many of these ingredients are ones that I am already familiar with and have actually been using for tons of time already in my own hair care routine. So if you're interested in trying out some of these ingredients yourself, but in a really easy to use way, it turns out that there are actually several of these ingredients in my own herbal hair growth oil, which was like legitimately a surprise for me when I started researching this topic. So my herbal hair growth oil has really been a game changer for growing my own hair from chin length to thigh length. And if you've ever dreamed of having thick, glowing hair that has people constantly asking what you're using, you might want to check it out. My hair growth formula works on 3 levels. First, it heals and soothes the scalp while boosting circulation. Secondly, it encourages fresh, healthy new growth where you thought there could be none. And third, it really hydrates and strengthens your hair to stop breakage. So you can finally break past that frustrating stuck length stage where your hair is just never growing. So if you're curious to learn more about the ingredients in my herbal hair growth oil and to see what other women are saying, just click the first link below in the description or visit catherinehaircare.com. Mixing up magic. So now that we know what ingredients the Egyptians used to nourish their hair, it's time to learn about a modern twist on these ancient beauty secrets. So here's how I whipped up my own Egyptian-inspired hair mask with a few fun tweaks that I added along the way that made it even better for my hair. So to get things started, I knew I would need to melt down some beeswax. I don't have a fancy double boiler or anything, so I just simply placed my beeswax in a bowl over a pot of simmering water, and there you go, it was my own DIY double boiler. So this makes it super easy to melt the beeswax without burning it, and it's something you can do with stuff you already have in your kitchen. So I thought I knew better than the recipe that I was following, and I decided to double the amount of beeswax it called for, but I ended up finding it was way too waxy, and so later I added more oil to balance it out. So you just go ahead and follow the recipe that's going to be below and you will be golden. Once the beeswax was melted and smooth, I added my olive oil. So the thing is, with melted beeswax, anytime you add another ingredient to it that is room temperature, it can cause it to harden and kind of curdle up again. So next time, I might actually have the oil and unmelted beeswax go over the heat together and then add the other ingredients to the oil wax mixture. So next I added the honey, which helped make this really creamy, but as you can see, it again did solidify the wax. So I had to put this over the heat again. There was a lot of backing and forthing here, but I think I'll have it more streamlined for the next time I do this. So next I added the water. So I was actually really skeptical about adding water into this recipe because water and oil obviously don't mix. But it turns out that it really worked well to be like this oil water emulsified sort of conditioner, which is wonderful for dry hair like mine was at the time. So next up was some of my herbal hair growth oil, which I added because the recipe I was using called for you to infuse fenugreek into the recipe, but I was like, well, I already have this herbal hair growth oil that's already infused with fenugreek among lots of other good things. So I just went ahead and used that. It's infused with nourishing ingredients like fenugreek, henna, and it has castor oil and lots of luscious essential oils in it too. So the oils really mix well together and they help bring lots of moisture and nutrients to the hair, which is exactly what my hair was needing at that time. So quick note, if you still want to get the benefit of the fenugreek seeds into this hair mask, but you don't have my herbal hair growth oil, you can either infuse the fenugreek seeds into the oil, like heat it up a little bit and then strain the seeds out, or you could infuse the fenugreek seeds into your water by using hot water the night before you make your mask and steeping it with the seeds like a tea and then later straining it. Okay, so here's where things got a little fun and experimental. So since I was working with a mix of oils, beeswax, and water, I knew that I needed everything to really blend together properly. So I decided to add an egg yolk. I absolutely love egg yolks for hair masks because they're very, very nourishing and creamy, but they also help to emulsify, which means they can bind together water and oil, kind of like making homemade mayonnaise. So the egg yolks are packed with vitamins, fatty acids, and proteins that help to strengthen and moisturize your hair. Okay, so it's a little more liquidy than I had expected, but I'm assuming it's probably going to thicken up after it cools a little more and, you know, the beeswax hardens a little bit. So we'll see. I did just pop it over the double boiler again because the beeswax was starting to kind of curdle up a bit when I added the water. So I'm going to get that all smooth and then we're going to let it cool and see what the texture's like, and then hopefully I'll be able to apply it to my hair without too much of a mess. So once everything was combined, I whisked it all to make it smooth, but off camera I ended up using my immersion blender to really smooth out like the little grains of beeswax that were still remaining in there. All of this helped to just make sure that the mask was really creamy and easy to apply to my hair with no clumps. Applying the mask. Okay, so I did end up making a few changes to that recipe, and the final recipe will all be outlined for you in the video description below because I want to make this as streamlined and simple for you guys as possible to avoid the mistakes that I made. But I really do have high hopes for this recipe, so let's go ahead and put it in my hair. So when it came time to actually apply this Egyptian inspired hair mask to my hair, I was definitely ready for some magic to happen, but I was also, let's face it, really skeptical and ready for a battle with my hair because, let's face it, detangling my hair is a whole process and it can actually take me many hours over a course of days. And I was a little bit skeptical as to how this kind of waxy honey mask would interact with my hair that still had some tangles in it at this time. My hair was relatively detangled. I was not starting out putting this onto like a really messy head of hair or anything, but there still were more tangles that I had to get out. Then I sectioned it off into 4 sections and began applying the mask to one section at a time and just working it through. And right off the bat, I was really, really impressed with how the mask actually acted as a detangler. It really helped to soften up my hair and make it more pliable, not less, which again, I was really surprised about. So I'm actually very impressed with how I'm still able to detangle my hair. The honey is actually helping the detangling process. So I'm very pleased. So I'd just like to go on the record to make a few predictions about the results of this hair mask because I have no idea what they'll be yet. But my main 2 predictions are, I think this will really, really help with my curl definition due to the honey and the beeswax, just helping, you know, have that holding power and that moisturizing power. And my second prediction is that I think this will really work well as a split end healer or sealer, however you want to look at it, because I do have some split ends. I mean, I think it's pretty unavoidable with hair of my texture, at least, getting to be as long as it is. So anyway, I'm going to be looking to see if the split ends are like less noticeable with using this. And if that's the case, this is definitely going to become like a pivotal piece in my hair care routine going forward because that's really important to me. So once I had all the sections covered, I wrapped my hair up and left the mask in for the rest of the day, and I slept in it as well. Wrapping your hair in a plastic shower cap followed by a silk scarf or a bonnet of some kind can really help to generate warmth that will help the mask to absorb really well. That's just a quick tip for you. Okay, my hair feels absolutely amazing. That beeswax and that honey really just seals off those braids, so it feels super moisturized and not very messy actually because it's kind of hardened a bit. Oh yeah, it also smells amazing from the beeswax. So I'm going to sleep on this and wash it tomorrow, and I will be showing you the finished results. Okay, so the next morning I was a bit nervous about how the mask would wash out. Sometimes these treatments can leave serious residue, especially since the beeswax was in there, and I wasn't sure if I would end up with really greasy, kind of weighed down hair. But I do have a little trick up my sleeve for these situations that I'm going to share with you. So the trick is that I started with a pre-clarifying rinse of diluted apple cider vinegar. Usually I do this rinse only at the end of my wash routine, but in cases where I really want to make sure that my hair is cleaned, I will actually apply it first, and this helps to break down any excess product and get my hair ready for the real wash. Then I used my usual Rasuel clay wash. After that, I followed up with a second round of the ACV rinse to make sure everything was completely cleaned and to balance the pH of my hair. And by the way, if you're curious about the apple cider vinegar rinse or the clay wash that I used for the recipes, you can get both of those recipes and many more hair care tips by signing up for my email list on my website. Okay, so what were the results of this hair mask? The results. Okay, so again, when I first mixed up this hair mask, I was definitely skeptical. It's a bit of a hassle to make, and with all the melting and emulsifying and blending, I was definitely feeling like I probably wouldn't want to repeat this process. But let me tell you, after I saw the results in my hair and how moisturized and healthy and bouncy it was after it had been so dry, I have decided I never want to be without this hair mask. It was that great. So my hair ends, which are often dry and a little bit frail feeling by the time I come around to needing a hair wash, they felt super healthy and moisturized. I was so impressed with how much softer and smoother my hair ends felt. It was like they'd just been restored to their ideal best condition. My curls were perfectly separated, beautifully defined, and had this gorgeous shine to them that made me feel like I was channeling ancient Egyptian royalty. The best part was my hair still had so much natural body and movement, and it also wasn't weighed down, which can sometimes happen with these deep moisturizing treatments. So here's the thing, as much as I love using this mask and the results that I get, I'm not going to be making it from scratch every time I need to use it. So a little hack that I'm going to use to make it more manageable is you can make up a bigger batch of this, like enough to last you maybe a month, and then store it in an ice cube tray in your freezer. And when you're ready to use it, you can just pop out a few cubes and let them defrost and then apply it. Trust me, after seeing how soft, shiny, and bouncy my curls were, you'll probably want to make this a regular part of your routine too. It can really be a game changer for so many different hair types. It does take a little time to make, but in my opinion, it's worth every minute. What we can learn from ancient Egypt. So looking back on my experience with this Egyptian-inspired hair mask, it's definitely shocking how much we can learn from the past. The simplicity and effectiveness of their beauty practices really stood out to me. The Egyptians didn't have all the fancy products we do today, but they knew how to use natural ingredients that were in the land around them to keep their hair healthy, shiny, and strong. Things like honey, beeswax, and herbs, really simple but profoundly effective. The Egyptian approach to beauty is still so relevant today. It's all about nourishing, protecting, and enhancing what we already have. And that's just as important now as it was thousands of years ago. So if you're curious to learn more, remember that you can sign up for my email list to get my free hair growth cheat sheet, which has all of my best tips for growing long, healthy hair, and also has my hair wash recipes that have helped transform my own hair. These are the same recipes and techniques that helped me go from a chin-length haircut and a lifetime of hair that wouldn't grow to now thigh-length hair, and I think they'll help you too. They've already been helping so many people out there. And also, if you want to try out something that's already helping thousands of people, check out my herbal hair growth oil, and the link for that will be in the description. Thanks for joining me for this Egyptian hair care experiment, and I'll see you on the next video.